Welcome to another episode of Can You Reach That?
Can you reach that? Hey man, a question for you.
Got an answer for you.
Then we'll see.
Shit.
So, is there any food that you love so much, and maybe you're allergic to it, or maybe you know you're allergic to it, but you'd still eat it? Let's say it would put you in a predicament where it'd be a medical emergency, potentially even death, but maybe even not so far, but just at least a medical emergency if you ate it.
I might need an EpiPen.
Is there a certain food that you just like, I'm just gonna eat this?
Well, one, I don't have any allergies.
But is there a food you like that much that if you did?
Is there something that I would risk an allergic reaction to?
Does it taste that good that you're just like, hey?
I mean, off top, I'm just gonna say chicken.
How did I know you were gonna say chicken?
Can you reach that? You see that? Let's talk about it. Read that. Believe that. Let the people know that we see that and what they want to know. Can you reach that? Can you reach that? Now you're home. Can you reach that? Can you reach that? Cool.
I mean, I love me some. The first thing that came to mind was Popeyes. I was like, man, I don't know if I can give up Popeyes.
So if you were allergic to Popeyes,
I would probably risk that.
you'd be like, I'm going to Popeyes.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Like
I guess Popeyes is just that damn good.
it is for me. Like I love me some. That's top tier fried chicken right there.
Willing to die from it.
Yeah, for real. With a side of watermelon.
So now you just taking it there. You baiting me. You just baiting me. You just baiting me.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, that's really the first thing that comes to mind.
So the reason
like,
I ask is I saw this story. You're familiar with Anthony Anderson?
Yes.
So he was speaking on an occasion. I don't remember the details of the event they were at, but they attended something and they decided to roll out, grab some food.
Right.
They rolled a Red Lobster, and he said they're sitting there, and DMX orders a bunch of shrimp, various different ways of cooking. You know, seared,
like the three piece.
Well, you know, whatever
Yeah.
it entailed. But he ordered a gang of shrimp.
Right.
And so they're sitting there, they're, you know, conversing, eating, whatever, 20, 30 minutes into the meal. And the husband said he started hearing, like, you know, all these noises. He's like, man, X, are you good?
Bro's
He's
allergic
like,
to
yeah,
shrimp.
I'm all right. You know, he's like, are you, what's wrong, man? He's like, allergic. And he's gargling, you know. He said he even grabbed a knife because he said it was, you know, I guess the swelling was causing. He grabbed a knife and he was trying to itch the side of his ear.
Wow.
And he's like, hey, man, like, don't you sticking a knife in it? He's like, I can't get it. And you know, he's like, stop eating it, man. He's like, I can't. It tastes too good. I love the flavor.
That's crazy.
He loved his shrimp so much. But he was grabbing a knife trying to itch the side of his head, his ear.
Hey,
The inside of his ear with a knife.
you got to do what you got to do.
But he wanted that shrimp.
What about you? You got a food that
I
you would
don't know if I have a food that I'd be willing to
die
potentially
for?
die for. You know what I'm saying?
What's that stuff? Used to eat it all the time back in the day.
Chicken.
Pussy. Oh.
But I'm saying, like, he wasn't able to breathe. Like, his airway was closing.
Yeah.
Is there a food that I would risk my airway closing and knowing, do I have enough time to either A, do I even have an EpiPen? B, am I near a hospital? Like, am I close enough to a hospital? I'm gonna get there in time.
Right.
Like, is there any food
it worth
worth
it?
not breathing? And I don't know if there is. I mean, there's a lot of foods that I love, and there's times where I don't have certain things for a while, and when I do, I indulge. But would I risk my my life?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a rough one, man. That's
Yeah.
hardcore.
You really love your food if you're doing that shit.
But yeah, I was listening to the story, and like, as much as like, you know, you kind of roll through emotions, right? Like, you know, DMX is one of my favorite artists. I mean,
Right.
you know, his live performances was insane.
Mad crazy.
So knowing
You seen
that
him live?
No, I never got a chance, dude.
I didn't either.
Just video coverage. You know what I'm saying? But just knowing the energy he brought, I would have loved to see a DMX show live. But then knowing that obviously that he's passed since, obviously now he's passed, rest in peace DMX.
Yeah.
Hearing that story, hearing Anthony Anderson tell the story, Anthony Anderson's a funny dude anyways. So hearing him say it and doing his paraphrasing and his antics, it was funny for a situation that wasn't funny.
Right.
So you're sitting there watching this.
That's a serious.
I'm watching this interview and I'm laughing, but at the same time, inside of me, I'm like, "Why are you laughing, dog? Like that's messed up." Like,
yeah.
But it is a funny story, but at the same time, not so funny, I guess.
True.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Comedy during a tragic moment.
Is there any food out there y'all would die for or put your life on the line for? I mean, put that in the comments. I'm curious if anybody's got that where they just like, hey, I'm deathly allergic to shellfish, but I'm going in, or I'm allergic to dairy, but like ice cream, I'm just gonna.
I got a peanut allergy, but I love me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right. Let me hear what y'all got, man. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. I don't know, and I mean, maybe I'm spoiled in the fact that I don't have any, or at least none that I know of, outside of being lactose intolerant. But for a minute, I just kind of built up a tolerance to it.
I mean, my thing is, I'm not lactose intolerant, but I feel like if I was, I'm like, I mean, for certain snacks, like, all right, I'll take some diarrhea. Like, let's go. Like, you know what I mean?
I'll tell you one time it hit me bad. I used to hit Jack in the Box up, and I would get that cookies and cream.
Oh,
milkshake.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that would completely tear me all up. But I was like, nah. So I guess that would my thing would be.
So I think the other side of that though is a lot of these fast food joints, they use that powder milkshake bullshit.
Yeah.
And I feel like even if you're not lactose intolerant, that shit runs through you. Like it makes you feel like
it'll still mess you up.
You'll hit one of them like I'm gonna go give me a Shamrock shake from McDonald's, and then like 5 minutes later you sitting there gurgling like, am I lactose intolerant? Like, nah, it's just that powdery shake. McDonald's shake.
I mean, half of that stuff ain't even real food.
It's
not. It's all creations that man has put together. I don't even know how much of the food we actually consume is actually real food. Because a lot of it is manufactured now.
It's almost like, do you want to know? That's the Matrix right there. Like, of food, right? Like you're living in this world and that's the real world. Which side do you want to be on?
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, it's even kind of skeptical with the fruits and stuff, because like you can't, with Monsanto and everything, like seedless watermelons shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, genetically altered to not have seeds.
But like if you go to a store, I feel, or at least the stores I go to, like I'm hard pressed to find a watermelon with seeds in it.
Oh, you can still find farmers markets and stuff, yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like,
but you're not going to Ralph's and
like a big grocery chain store. You're not. It's hard. You're hard pressed to find.
And the crazy part is the one with the seeds have the best flavor.
Well, yeah.
I mean, obviously, you got to pick the right watermelon too. There's tactics to do that.
Yeah.
But they have way more flavor, and they're bigger.
Yeah.
So
I gotta find me some.
I'll take you to Spot. I know Spot.
Give me some watermelon seeds. I need some seeds, man, for when I go to Mars. I'm getting my stockpile ready.
Like I'm gonna grow some watermelons in my poop.
Hell yeah, watermelons and peanuts. I'm gonna take it back to the old school.
There you go.
That's how we started in this country, growing peanuts and watermelon.
You said peanuts, right?
Peanuts.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this ain't a Diddy party. You got to go somewhere else for that. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
No, and I feel like the extent of Diddy parties is going to get so far more exposed. It's beyond our wildest dreams at this point. The documentaries are going to be nuts. I mean, I know 50 has rumored to sold some stuff he had going on with that to Netflix potentially. I don't know if that's all true or not, but apparently there's going to be some stuff coming out.
It's a lot, I'm sure. I mean, Diddy was throwing a lot of parties, so it just reminds me of when I think of, especially them talking about the freak off, because everybody was so hot on the freak off,
right,
it wasn't just a Diddy party. But going back in time, like of course hindsight is 2020, but back in the day,
right,
everybody wanted to go to a Diddy party.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Diddy's all white party, like everybody was in the building. But at the
same time, I've heard people from that time say, "Oh yeah, Diddy parties, man. It's all about a Diddy party, this and this and this," until you go to a Diddy party. Like there's been a couple interviews where I've seen celebrities say, "Oh yeah, it was you wanted to go to one of those, and when you got to go, you realize that like you didn't really
want to go.
You didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
Like once you heard the hype, you thought it was all going to be, you know, what you wanted. And once the curtain was lifted, you was kind of like, nah, I ain't going here. I'm leaving early. I'm bouncing.
Them Hollywood parties are crazy. They remind me of when I think when hearing about these stories about the freak offs and everything like that. Reminds me of like old Roman Empire orgies.
Right.
You know, like that's all I'm thinking of. The elite just doing whatever
they want
to
do. Yeah.
I got money. I got carte blanche to pretty much do whatever. Like anything goes at this party.
Yep.
That's how I see it. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that's the vibe that I got.
And just sort of segueing from Diddy, you remember his artist Shine?
Used to love me some Shine.
So, you know,
shout out to the Belizeans.
And Shine, you know, he
took the fall for Diddy.
You know what I'm saying? And served time. You know, and essentially got set up.
100%.
It wasn't even like he was like, "Oh, I'll do it. I got you." You know, he got befuddled.
Yeah, put in that he was set up as a fall guy. Yeah.
And Hulu, there's going to be a documentary called I think it's called The Honorable Shine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about that. It's his build up through his musical career, the interactions he had on Bad Boy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it goes into obviously his prison time and how he felt betrayed and knew he was the scapegoat, knew he was the sacrifice, to then kind of having an epiphany.
Right.
And going straight into politics and like making himself essentially you know, the Honorable Shine.
Right.
Making a purpose,
making a new name for himself. Yeah,
right. You know, feeling like he found his purpose. You know.
Yeah.
The documentary, I saw the trailer. It looks very interesting. I'm definitely gonna check it out. It looks like it's gonna be one of those good watches.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to check that out. It just trips me out. Like I can't think of any artist that was on Bad Boy that came out on top. Like I can't. I feel like every artist that dealt with Diddy somehow got screwed over.
Well, remember Suge, if you want to come over here and not have your executive producer all up in the videos.
But I mean, that's just on the front. I mean, I know he was talking about specifically that was, you know, him being in the camera, and which I get. But
the thing is I think that was a slight aside from the obvious. I think that was also a slight because Diddy always kind of had to be, even when it was your project, had to be in the front.
Of course.
So, and I think that was more, it was a kind of a double entendre, if you will. Yeah, he was always in the video dancing, but he was also always like the face of your stuff. It was never like your project. It was the Diddy project for you.
Yeah, it was Puff Daddy and the family.
So
like, that's how he ran shit. Like honestly, I feel like it was genius. Like if you want to be, I can't think of the name of the comedian, but there's a female comedian of Asian descent who tried to break into comedy. Nobody would give her a shot, so she opened her own comedy studio so she could do her own jokes. I feel like that's what Diddy did. I feel like Diddy always wanted to be a rapper, an artist in some sense or form. So what's the best way to do it? Start your own label. If I got my own label, I can put out my own stuff. Right. And I got these dope artists. I can jump on with them. Maybe they write for me, maybe they don't. But even if they don't, because I'm the guy.
All he needed to do was
right?
Take that.
Little. See, man, that take that with some foreshadowing right there.
Right? Take that.
Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, Diddy.
He didn't pause. It's going to be interesting. Like that Shine documentary is going to be dope, and I'm curious to see if they're going to drop a Diddy documentary. Like I said, I guess 50 has something.
There's going to be a lot.
I'm really curious. I mean, he had stories about how he wrote stuff for Puff too. So Diddy wrote for him. So I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some stories involved with that. And
yeah, it's going to be crazy.
And so on.
I feel like there's going to be a lot more coming out now. But I mean, that's just what happens. It's a sign of the times now. It's I don't want to call it open season. Well, yeah, I will call it open season on Diddy right now. You know, because that's all it takes. Just like with everything else, you know, it just takes one person to make the first move, and then everybody else comes out the woodworks. Oh, he abused you. I was abused too. Crazy. Right. Small world. I thought it was just me. You know, whatever the things that people say are, but you know, like it's definitely opened up the floodgates to come after Diddy now. So anybody that's got a story now feels more comfortable telling their story.
I mean, the fact that people now, as opposed to saying pause or
They say no Diddy.
they say no Diddy. Like the fact that became a thing, and it became a thing very fast,
Very quick.
like very like from the first allegation,
Yeah.
someone said no Diddy, and that was it.
That was it. As soon as his home got raided.
Right. So it's like
he wasn't even in custody yet.
you've now turned your stage name into a verb.
Right. And it's not a good verb.
No Diddy.
Nobody wants to get Diddy.
Don't get Diddy.
Don't get Diddy. Poor guy.
So,
But I mean, on the other hand, too, it's like he did it to himself. Like unfortunately, there are so many people that once they get to this level of financial freedom, they get to this status and they just think they can get away with stuff that they wouldn't have gotten away with,
right.
or they wouldn't have felt comfortable doing before they had all that money.
Well, like money is power, right? So
Yeah.
people have that notion and they take it to heart. Like it don't matter what happens in this place. If someone has a problem with it, I can just throw them some cheese and it's done.
Right.
And for some people, that's true.
Yeah.
They'll take that cheese and they'll shut up.
And it's a lot of people. Like, I feel like everybody has a price.
And I also feel like in this situation, you're going to hear a lot of people who had that price, took said money,
Which is why they kept their mouth shut.
but now are talking.
Yeah.
So now they're getting it both ways. Now, yeah, it might be years later, but they went from taking that hush money and hushing.
Yeah.
But now that it's all out there, they're like, oh yeah, me too. Because now there's
Because
potential.
now they can,
there's a potential to get some more money. So
well, not even for that, just to actually get the story out.
but the
Because
story out, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's both. It's
Because their silence was bought in the first place. They didn't want to be silent about it, but because they took the money, they had to shut
And they were
up. Otherwise, there would have been more legal.
because they were probably in a position too where they needed that money.
Right. Because
You
you
know?
throw enough money at somebody, eventually you're going to say yes. Now, I know some people have a very low amount that they would take, but, some people, you might have to throw a little more at them. But I feel like there's a price for everybody to, and so many people we've seen it in the past, taking that money to go against their morals.
Right.
Because we'll hear stories about some stuff that comes up, and it's like, man, I hope they nail this guy to the cross. And then
Right.
it's like, oh, recent
Nope.
news, they just settled out of court. It's like, oh, damn.
And then when that happens, you don't get the rest of
You
the
don't
story.
get anything.
That's
Yeah.
it.
There's no accountability at that point. Because
That's-
basically
yeah.
he paid you off to leave me alone. Keep your mouth shut. I was watching the Vince McMahon thing on Netflix.
Yeah, I started. I haven't finished.
And
I haven't finished it.
there's
I gotta
couple,
get through it.
not to give it away or anything, but there's a couple cases where he paid out millions of dollars
Oh yeah.
to buy people's silence.
I mean, he's not the only one. He's not the first. He's not
And he's
the
not
last.
going to be the last. Yeah.
I mean, it's happened throughout time. I'm sure.
So it's unfortunate.
Back to the Roman parties. I'm sure people were paid off back then too, like you were saying.
It's unfortunate that money has such a strong hold on people that with the right number sitting in front of you,
What's your number?
My number? I feel like my number is high, but I'm also an idiot. Like in my mind, I feel like the more
$500.
I don't know, 500 million maybe. But I really feel like the morals are more important for me. Like, and I guess for me, it's out of the example. Like, if you want to see the change, you got to be the change.
Right.
So to sit here and watch so many stories about people who have been done dirty, who want justice, but accept the money instead, because that is a fair exchange. Especially, you throw $2 million, $3 million at somebody
Right.
who's only made 40, 50, or 60,000 at most a year in their lifetime.
They're gonna take it.
That's a life-changing amount of money.
Most of the time, they're gonna take it.
Now,
I say 8 times out of 10.
right
There's 2
now,
people that won't.
because when you think about it, like how long, if that's presented to me, how long would it actually take me to get to 3 million? Do I really want to hold this dude responsible, or do I just want to say, you know what, fuck it, let me take this 3 mil
Who's paying the taxes on
and
that?
I can? That's a good question.
do you tell Diddy, yeah, I'll take $3
And you,
million,
and you
and
pay,
you
the
pay
taxes.
the taxes.
I wanted 3 mil after tax.
So that means you're gonna have to pay about 3.9.
Yeah, nah, well, the way
That'd
they
be
do
like 5,
taxes,
yeah.
yeah. I just set everything up at 50%. Like in my head, once I
Then you're like, they're like, wait, you're gonna put up 5 so that it comes out to 3
to
after
2.5,
taxes.
yeah.
Hold on, if you can put up 5, then I want 5. Now you pay the
Now you
taxes
gotta
on
pay
that,
10.
and then so on, and then so on, and then so on. That shit don't rinse and repeat.
Hey, everything is a sliding scale. But yeah, that's just in my head. And who knows? Maybe this is all talk. Once it's actually presented to me, I'll be like, yeah, fuck that. Give me the money. I'll shut my mouth. I ain't got nothing bad to say.
Do you you think
But as I'm sitting on my gold throne, like I don't know what you're talking about.
it's like
You see my new Maserati outside?
right.
It's like you won't know I took the settlement, but there'll be signs.
The things that this dude was telling me to do, and he'd give me a Maserati if I did it. I don't know what kind of car you drive, Maserati.
Yeah. So I smacked the dude.
So do you think at some point Diddy releases a song? Does he come out with a song about all this?
Man, nah, I tell you what, it would be interesting if he did. But I think it would be even more interesting if him and R. Kelly put out a song together. Like I don't know if they would they probably won't end up in the same prison. But if they did, Chronicles from the Prison, a Diddy R. Kelly track.
So and in said track, does he just start calling out names?
Man, I mean, why not? He's already locked up.
Just call out names.
Let's put everything out there now. If I'm going down, everybody else is going down with me.
R. Kelly singing the hook.
Right? Man, that'll be a trip. And it's so crazy because people want names. People want names. Like also, I find it interesting that I feel like a lot more names more information.
It's not just names, but they want the celebrity names.
Right.
People don't care about the names they don't know about. All those victims, to be honest with you, the public is just like so.
The victims know, but the names of the celebrities
that were involved, and the celebrity victims, if there were any, obviously there probably were.
Yeah.
But that's what they want to hear. It's the gossip nature of it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I feel like there's more effort into getting this Diddy story out.
Yeah.
Than there was in getting Epstein's story out. And I feel like he was a way worse individual, and he did a lot more way worse shit than what Diddy did. I could be wrong. I don't know what Diddy did or didn't do.
It's the same factor as they released the list of the flight logs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, there's a name on there, namely Trump, who's on there repeatedly. I forgot how many times, but it was in the teens.
Mm-hmm.
But that side of the narrative always gets suppressed. They don't bring the fact that, in fact, that side of the party will constantly talk about Epstein,
right?
And they'll call out other names, but they act as if that name's not on there. Trump's name's not on it,
right?
When it's on there as one of the most repeated names. So
on the flight log.
On those flight logs.
That's crazy.
So, but no, I agree with you.
But that doesn't mean anything.
That whole he was just he's going on for the ride. No
business.
No pun intended.
They were golfing.
Yeah, they're just playing with balls.
Oh, caddy.
They were hitting balls with sticks.
They were hitting balls with Arnold Palmer.
Right, apparently, right? Why is he obsessed with Arnold Palmer's penis?
Man,
like that story was creepy. Like when he said, "Oh man,
I shouldn't say
those guys. I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to." Those guys, they bragged about seeing it. It's like, and the way he was like, just going in.
What I find interesting is there anything that he has been involved in person? Because everything about him is not from him directly. I've heard it from these people. I've seen it from these people.
It's projecting.
This person did.
He projects. I mean, half the stuff because now the fact that they're talking about his cognitive decline because Biden's no longer around, and they're talking about he tries to push that to the side. And I don't know if you've heard, he's actually said, "Oh, Kamala Harris she's cognitive incapable, and she's cognitive this and her cognitive decline." It's like that's projection.
The projection is
the fact that this dude the other day was sitting there and said, "They keep saying I'm 80. I'm nowhere near it. I'm not even close to 80." Like, Dick, you're 78. You're close to 80. Like
closer to 80 than you are 70.
Like, what are you talking about? But
closer to 80 than you are 75.
And if someone like Biden were to have said those words, they would have a freaking field day with it.
They would call him
senile.
But
they, for some reason, brush his nonsense under the table.
The man has too much influence, and it bugs me that people won't hold him accountable. And the people that try to get blackballed for some odd reason.
Right, go figure.
But, I mean, isn't that the way of the government to begin with? Anytime you speak out against a prominent figure, anytime you speak the truth against a prominent figure, there's some sort of mudslinging suppression, if you will, to shut that.
It was all Biden and his cognitive decline. He's old. He's this. He's slow. He slurs his speech. I mean, mind you, the guy was an admitted stutterer growing up that he had to overcome stuttering. So stuttering and slurring wasn't anything out of the normal for him because it was.
Yeah, he's used to slurs.
But nonetheless, that part too. Nonetheless, even slurring through his words, what he was actually saying was at least intellectual.
Right.
He spoke on policy. He spoke on, issues, political
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
versus just constant name calling and belittling and
Fear
random
mongering.
stories about windmills killing whales, which, by the way, he just misread a story about windmills in the place whales, not whales the animal. But that's just, again, cognitive decline. He couldn't comprehend what he was seeing / reading.
Yeah.
But if Biden were to have said anything like that, if Biden were to say, I'm not even close to 80, if Biden were to go on, if Biden were to stage an event where he took over a McDonald's and pretended to fry some fries up, dude, Trump would go in on him of like, what is this guy doing? Like, we're campaigning, he's at McDonald's frying fries.
Yeah.
Like, this dude he was so obsessed with the fact that Kamala said she worked
at McDonald's
for a short time. He was so obsessed with it that she might have had a normal job at one point, that he decided to constantly call her out for pretending to work at McDonald's. And to prove it, he went and he pretended to work at McDonald's.
Right.
Like,
what sense does that make?
That dude literally has never had a regular job in his life, which is why he doesn't relate to the modern day blue collar, white collar worker. He
can't identify with
to either of that
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
He can't. So the fact that he has repeatedly said, I won't pay overtime, I won't do this.
I hated paying overtime. Oh, I couldn't stand paying overtime.
The fact that he put out a thing saying that no tax on overtime, right? And people are like, yeah, no tax on overtime. They loved it. But the reason there'd be no tax on overtime is because he would eliminate overtime.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
So
it's I guess it all depends on what your desire is for the outcome of this election, because everything that he's saying just looks like he's trying to reset the clock back.
I mean, he literally said he wanted to reinvoke a law from 1778, which basically was the same law that they used later on for Japanese and internment camps and things like that. Like,
yeah.
He wants to do that with migrants. He wants to create camps and put migrants and immigrants into these camps.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, like where are we going?
I know
history repeats itself, but there should be certain things that should never come about again.
He's making a huge effort to try to make history repeat himself.
He said that he wanted generals the way Hitler had generals.
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany.
He wants unwavering loyalty.
He literally said he wanted generals that were as loyal as the ones Hitler had. And the ironic side to that is most of the generals that Hitler had turned on Hitler.
At the end, yeah. But I mean, it's the
well, they even during the ones that were considered loyal, there was quite a few of them that tried to kill him. They tried to kill Hitler. So, if you want those kind of generals, so be it, I guess.
He just wants yes men, and that's what you see every time. And it's like the irony between him and everything that he says is, on one hand, he's like, he will fire anybody that doesn't do what he says without question, and put in somebody that will.
Yep.
That's why we have
until they won't, and then he fires them,
and then he fires them and gets somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
As long as you're telling him what he wants to hear and going along with what he says, then you're the greatest person to do this job ever. But the second you give him some pushback,
right,
which is why he gives Pence such shit now, because he wouldn't do what I wanted him to do.
He followed the law, and because Trump's lack of understanding of most law in this country, most constitutionally, instilled policy,
right,
law,
yeah,
the fact that he doesn't comprehend or understand the Constitution and doesn't understand most laws, he feels betrayed.
Right.
But Pence followed exactly the power he had. He used. He didn't have the power that Trump thinks he had to just go, I'm not doing this.
Right.
You don't have that power, dude.
Yeah.
Sure, he could have said that and just said it,
like Trump does.
but this is not how things work.
Like, it trips me out. He went through this whole effort of firing people so that he can put in the people that would do his bidding, and then turns around and hires the best people.
Always the best, right?
Puts the best people in these positions, but then turns around and gives his opponent shit for not firing those people.
Right.
But wait, if they're the best people, why do I need to fire them?
Right.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Well, it makes total sense.
And then
He's
half the
delusional.
people he put in place that he said were the best people, he fired anyways.
Because they weren't.
Because they decided to either follow a law or go against anything he, like you said, they weren't the complete yes men he had
He
anticipated.
thought he was, yeah.
And that's the thing is like, and you know, when it comes to this election, like Kamala, right? Like, I'm not entirely on board with all her stuff. I'm not entirely not on board with all her stuff, but you have to have politicians who are willing to compromise, willing to sit at the table bipartisanly,
Right.
and try to work things out. You can't. You're never gonna have a government that you're gonna consider not corrupt or not just full of shit.
Yeah, corruption is built into the system.
Yeah, when it's just like, oh, if it's not a Democratic bill, we're not passing it. Oh, if it's not a Republican bill, we're not gonna. If you constantly have it that it's just a tug of war, nothing's gonna get done ever. You have to have people who are willing to sit at the table, and I feel like there's a lot of Republicans that are also willing to sit at the table. Unfortunately, most of those Republicans are very quiet right now, because if they speak up too much, unfortunately, the MAGA loyalists will ostracize them.
Right.
They'll alienate them, and then they'll lose their seats. They'll lose their place in the government.
Right.
So until some of this gets put to the side, and I think it starts with Trump.
Yeah.
And then you work your way down, you know, into the Senate and into Congress, and you get rid of some of those guys. You oust some of those seats, which some of them are on the line right now, very closely.
Yeah.
Those Republicans can then start speaking back up and start getting back to the table, and we can get back to this, you know, trying to. Of course, there's always going to be stronger partisan issues, but most of the time you would have a way to sit down and tick for tat, you know,
right,
and sit there and talk it out and find ways to compromise, and until we have that, it's just bullshit.
And that's how it's supposed to be in the beginning, like
and we're not even a two-party country. It's just that we're a two-party dominant country. That's what it is, because independence kind of.
I look at it as we are a two-party country.
Right.
The other countries are, to use an example, two parents and let's say two children. Parents have cell phones. Kids want cell phones. Parents don't want the kids to have cell phones, but they give them either disconnected cell phones or toy cell phones. So they think they have the cell phone.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm a kid. I'm just like mommy and daddy. But in reality, it's a fake cell phone. I feel like that's the same way with politics. Like, there's two systems. There's two parties.
Right.
There's other parties involved, but they're just there.
Right.
To make the people feel like they have a sense of choice.
Right.
The illusion of choice.
It's kind of like what I used to do with my you know, younger family members when I got older. I was playing video games. And I give them the controller that wasn't plugged in.
Yeah.
Like, yo, yeah, you're doing it.
It's unfortunate, but that's how I see the independent.
Unfortunately,
that's how I see the
true.
Green
No,
Party.
it's a great analogy.
It's there, and you know,
they can sway. They can sway votes, but
they can definitely sway.
Their votes are going to go towards the other two parties, you know, propositions. They're not going to go towards their own.
It's an opportunity cost. That's the way I look at it. Like, you can vote for who you want to vote for,
right?
Or you can vote for the likely candidate that you think has the potential of doing more good than harm.
Agreed.
Like, do I want to vote for Trump? No. Do I want to vote for Kamala? No.
Right.
But not voting for Kamala, I feel, gives Trump an opportunity to win.
And the side of that is, unfortunately, at this point, I feel like that's the way you're going to divide even more.
Oh, 100%.
Even further. 100. I mean, that his go-to is the Hitler way. It's the divide and conquer way.
Divide and conquer, yeah. Fear-mongering. Everything out of his mouth is fear. It's slander.
That's just what it's gotten to. And a lot of it is age, because when you hear him talk, even from when he first ran to now, I mean, it's changed, right?
Big time.
He definitely doesn't understand as much anymore. He definitely just goes off on these tangents. He calls them the weave. He doesn't weave shit. He doesn't come back to something. He just says a whole bunch of nonsense and then repeats his first sentence as if he just made this complete circle, and it's trash.
Right. And I feel like everything he's saying now is no different from what he was saying when he's literally trying to run on the same campaign.
And these policies, what he does mention, which he hardly does, but they're mostly concepts.
His concepts, right, of a plan.
He talks about how he'd do all this stuff and how he'd do this and he'd do that when he had the opportunity to do so for the 4 years he was in office,
And he didn't.
and he didn't do it. Then he's had now another 4 years to think about it, right, to come up with a new plan,
And still hasn't.
and he's still talking about it as if it's the first time around.
Right.
And it's like, well, now it's 8 years, 9 years later, nothing you're saying has changed. What's different? Like, how are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
It's like his concept for healthcare, you know? Like, we need to... I vividly remember him saying, I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something better.
right.
Coming soon. It's in the works.
There's a whole montage on YouTube where where through his entire 4 years, whenever he's asked about Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, his go-to answer was, yeah, it's coming out soon. We got about 2 weeks and it's going to be unveiled.
Yeah, it's always been
And
2
for
weeks.
4 years, when asked about that, he said 2 weeks.
And then even in the debate,
Right.
at least there was some acknowledgement that he has a concept. But you've been talking about this since 2016, and you've still only got a concept.
You ran on the fact that you already had it ready,
Right.
And now now 9 years later, it's a concept.
It's a concept.
And that's the thing is, like, even Obama said from the jump, Obamacare is not perfect. It's not the best, but it's the start. It's the foundation we needed in order to get this ball rolling.
Right.
Did it need to be tweaked? Of course it
100%.
did. He knew that. He acknowledged that.
But it's a start.
But the fact that you wanted to just immediately kill it, now you just took us back 40 years.
Right.
You know, you need to build on it. You need to take what's there. You have this great foundation. Build on it. Build on it.
But nah, he won't do that. Because he won't give credit where credit's due.
And that's what it is. That's what it amounts to. Because no matter what would have happened, even if Trump would have made it better, it would have still been Obamacare. It still, even if they, you know, and obviously they changed it to the Affordable Care Act or whatever, but it still would have been created by Barack Obama.
Right.
And he couldn't stand that. That's why he wanted to abolish it, just take it out, and then created something new. And I'm sure at some point if it would have come to fruition, he would have 100% called it Trump Care or something of that nature.
Yeah, he would have taken credit for it the same way he took credit for stimulus checks.
Yeah. No.
The president...
The same way that he withheld stimulus checks for an extra month so that he could get his signature printed on it because he wanted people to think that
it came from him.
Yeah.
And it worked because a lot of people
So,
people reference that.
Well, I mean, the trippy part is when you look at him then and now, right? And Kamala's been, it's one of her things about poking the bear. His rallies have shrunk.
They have.
No matter how many camera angles you try to use, there's plenty of cell phones out there. And I've heard that they've started banning cell phones. They don't want cell phones too much at those rallies now.
Nah, it's propaganda at this
because
point.
they're showing the empty seats. They're showing the small venues. They're showing, and he's been canceling venues.
Yeah, he's
So
I feel like he did an event in a high school gym.
Well, he started talking about how Kamala doesn't even show up. She doesn't do talking events. She doesn't do this. He started canceling it again. Projection.
Yeah, everything that he says, he's guilty of.
So
that's how I feel.
But again, like I said, like, you know, am I 100% a Kamala fan for everything that she's for or what she's proposing? No, I think she has some great stuff. That she's got some great ideas. She's got some forward-thinking stuff coming. I think some of her policies are on the cusp of being something that people are going to be interested in. There's other ones that not so much, but bringing those issues all to the table and being able to, again,
talk them
compromise,
find a compromise.
Bipartisanly. The fact that she's talked about bringing Republicans into her cabinet, having, you know, her cabinet be bipartisan.
It's needed. We need to get back to a bipartisan sense. And that the irony behind it all is I feel like that's what they're trying to undo because through my lifetime, I would say, and this is not with 100% fact or anything like this, because I will caveat this after I'm done saying it, but during Obama's presidency, I would feel is the most bipartisan our government has ever been. Mainly
to a certain extent.
And that's what I was going to say, because even with that being said, there was a Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell, who is on record saying that he will do whatever he can to oppose anything that Obama sends their way.
Right.
And that should not be allowed.
Right. You
in
should,
politics. You shouldn't be
shouldn't do
allowed
that,
to
yeah.
just like that's
just because it's
an
him.
obvious bias.
Right.
You shouldn't be, as the Speaker of the House, like your job is not to sow discontent and divide your constituents.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
Right.
But for some reason,
that was
this
his
is
role.
allowed. When it was a moment in time for Obama to potentially replace a Supreme Court justice, oh no, we have to wait until the next president gets elected and
It's
let them
too
do
close.
it.
Yeah.
But when Trump wants to do it,
2
oh no,
weeks.
here's
2 weeks. Here's,
2, 3. Go ahead, just add them all.
well,
add them all.
he did the last one within 2 weeks before the election.
So it's
So,
like
2 or 3 weeks.
why is it okay for one but not okay for the other?
Because it's them.
So it's just sad what the party has become. Now, what I'm hoping and praying is that with everything that's been going on lately, I already feel like the Republican vote is going to be split. Maybe not split, but at least diminished.
Right.
So
Because there's quite a few that have come out and said that, not that they're fully on board with Harris,
but they
however,
can't get on board with
they
Trump.
feel like they can come to the table and work and get back to, democracy
Yeah.
versus Trump, where it's his way or no way.
Yeah. And that's what,
You got to kiss the boots.
like, how many people that were in his cabinet have come out and said that I can't support this guy.
Right.
Of course, everybody kept their mouth shut because, nobody wants to risk their livelihood. Nobody wants to risk their job.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm anxious for the day that you have some, like I said, there's a lot of them that are quiet now, which half of me is saying that screw them, they're cowardice. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I long for the day where we can get back to where some of those more intelligent-minded Republicans who are quietly sitting over there can now speak back up and not worry about kissing the boots and all this other stuff. Like, I want to get back to that time where you had the pros and cons on both sides, not just one side as a pro and one side as a con.
Right.
Because that's just not how it should be. There's pros and cons to both parties.
I agree. And we need both parties.
And you need both parties to be able to sit down and talk it out. And that's just what it is.
Like, we need, in order, especially for this country to survive, it can't, and broad strokes here, I don't feel like Democrats are socialists. I don't feel like all Republicans are capitalists.
Right.
But we need both.
Right.
We need socialism.
You need a little bit of everybody.
Because there is a large enough faction of people in this country who need the help.
Agreed.
Because they don't have the financial well-being to be able to actually take care of themselves, to get affordable health care, enter Obama, who is trying to do all of that.
You've got to have a little bit of all of it. That's just
but
what
we
it is.
also need a good sense of capitalism to generate all this money.
Agreed.
But you don't have to hoard all the money.
Right.
A little bit of that can go, God forbid you lose, 5% of your $15 billion net worth.
Right.
That's,
Agreed.
No, can't survive.
100% agree.
And hopefully this is a start of a shift back in the right direction.
That's what I'm hoping. My thing is I'm just hoping that it goes that way, that we can get over the whole Trump, we can get over the whole MAGA thing, get back to the point where you had people sitting down having conversation, creating policies that are going to help their
the
constituents,
American
help the people,
not help the politicians, not help the corporations, because that's always going to be there. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
The corporations have so much influence in our politics and in our government, because you see a lot of times people will go from these high positions in these corporations to a high position in government.
Agreed.
And then somehow or another, they end up getting these large contracts, which adds to their overall net worth. So they go hand in hand. There's not going to be a clean break between government and corporations. They say there's supposed to be a separation between religion and state, but the relationship between business and state, it's too intertwined. You can't get rid of that. But until there comes a point where enough of our politicians all get on board and basically a strike or a protest to not validate the Ted Cruzes, to not validate the Marjorie Taylor Greens,
right,
to not validate why can't I think of the guy's name in Florida?
And don't forget Bobbitt. You talking about Santos
and Boebert. Like, there should be enough middle of the road Republicans,
right,
that they can be like, hey, you guys need to shut up, take a step to the back, and let the adults do the work. But no, for some reason, Ted Cruz has carte blanche to
Right.
do whatever he wants to do. Like, why?
And the crazy part is unfortunately I don't think he will, but he's very close to losing that spot, man. He's close to losing his election, his re-election. Cruz.
I feel like the whole MAGA trend is on a decline, and hopefully
if that goes blue, that's nuts.
That'll be a huge game changer if Texas goes blue.
That's nuts.
That in itself, I think, speaks to the condition of the state of the mind of the country right now.
Kamala's they've put aside time now. They're going to put aside time in budgeting to go to Texas to talk. Like no Democratic president really would ever do that because it's just
it's such a red state.
Unless they thought they had a chance. So I feel like they may have. If it's not a chance, it's enough that it's worth it to go anyways, and they're putting that time. So steering a little bit away from politics, sort of, and back into the entertainment life. What do you think? Are you going to check out that Trump movie, the one that he wants? He's tried to sue to get not aired and all that, but
yeah, I'm down to watch all of that stuff. I'm
probably going to end up checking it out.
I like seeing all of that stuff. Good, bad, indifferent. Like, I'm just curious to see how.
I mean, the crazy part is the person, I guess one of the guys who was his buddy, who ended up funding it, was pissed after he saw it. He walked out of the screening. I think it was at one of the film festivals. They didn't realize that they were going to portray Trump. They say portray Trump as evil, but as the director, and they said they portrayed Trump as he is.
Right.
It wasn't as evil. It's as he is.
It was, yeah.
They went off of actual record, actual accounts of things that occurred throughout his life.
Yeah.
Spoken by the people who were there. And that's what they went off of. Now, the fact that a dude funded it thinking it was going to be this fluff piece, and it wasn't, now he's bitter and Trump's bitter, and all, they want to can it. But I'm really anxious to see it. I mean, I'm a movie buff, so I'm always going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of the truth. And good, bad, or ugly, just let it be known. Because especially through entertainment and media, because that seems to be the biggest source of information right now. The ability to take somebody's story and spin it in a positive light, and you can take that same story and spin it in a negative light. Like, if you take no person is 100% good, no person is 100% bad.
Right.
If you look at somebody's life, they've done good stuff.
Right.
And they've done bad stuff. You can look at
the yin and the yang, dude.
You can look at
always opposites.
You can look at a Epstein, for example. And if you only highlight all the good stuff that he's done, you would think he's the greatest philanthropist,
right, billionaire
to ever walk the face of the planet.
So here's a interesting thought. If this were to come to fruition, right? The Diddy documentary that's potentially out there in the works. Trump was obviously a notable guest of Epstein.
Right.
Do you think there's going to be some Trump in the Diddy story?
Maybe.
He's already said he's never been to a Diddy party. I feel like that's not true. They've shown pictures with Diddy and Trump together. They look pretty friendly.
Maybe. But again, back in the day, Trump was a personality, and before he became a politician,
right?
Like he's always tried to be a personality.
Playboy kind of, yeah.
He's always tried to be a personality. He's always wanted to be in front of the camera. He's always wanted to be liked and revered. So there's tons of, and back in the day, there are plenty of pictures that show up with Trump and a lot of black entertainers. Because call a spade, like, black people like money, and Trump's got money, and this man out here with his gold toilet. Like, would Master P have a gold toilet if Trump didn't have a gold toilet first? Like, I don't know. But this man is just out here.
Sorry.
That's where it came up. He was in the bathroom on the toilet. Oh, wait a minute. That's a hook. Let me write that down.
Gold toilets make him say,
right? But nah, like I feel like he's always been a personality. So for him to be anywhere where there's a lot of public persona,
right?
Like, he was always in those spaces. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was at a Diddy party or two.
The crazy part is like with 50, man, he always seems to have the inside knowledge. Like, I mean, throughout the years, just looking back, he's always broke rumors. He's always been one of the first people to say certain things, and even if it's off the cuff or even maybe semi-subliminal, like just on a tweet.
Yeah.
He'll say something, and then like a little while later, like something will happen, and then he's like, "Told you," you know what I mean? Like, so it's a trip how much 50 is actually into, and how much he knows. Like, I would love to just sit down and just like tell me a story that nobody's ever heard before, and I'm sure he's got plenty.
I'm sure he does. But then on the other hand, it makes me feel like in order to know that information,
But you kind of had to be
you're kind of in those spaces,
right.
So then it's like,
You know,
like I was there, but I ain't do none of the freaky shit.
right.
Like, well,
I just held the camera for making this documentary.
you'll never see me in front of the camera.
20 years later, I'm gonna drop this doc. No,
Because
but
I've been recording everything.
like, so just an interesting. A lot of people don't know. Some people know. I mean, there's quite a few people that probably do know this. But did you know that 50 Cent did a song with Kobe Bryant?
Nah, I didn't know that.
There's a song out there. I think it's called. I want to say it's called Thug Poet. Yeah, I think it's Thug Poet. And yeah, it's him and Kobe on verses. I don't know if Kobe wrote his or not. I'm assuming he did, but I don't know. You know, pulling out Glocks and handling biz, and I mean, yeah, like.
No, Kobe went hard, huh?
You should go listen to it. I mean, Kobe went as hard as he could without maybe busting the persona he had, public persona, to a certain degree. But I think he still kind of said some stuff that you were kind of like, oh, word. You know what I mean? But 50 Cent and Kobe, I mean, we know Kobe's rapped, right? We know he had that song where he's on with Brian McKnight. He know he rapped on a song with Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
You know, he's done a couple of the little rap things, but the 50 Cent one kind of got brushed under the rug. There's a 50 Cent Kobe track.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
So, I mean, now that we on music, you know, the Eastsidaz couple Friday, you know,
A little while ago, yeah.
Friday.
I literally was just listening to that.
Yeah, the Eastsidaz dropped it. The crazy part about that drop is, so I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but it's tracks I've heard. There's a couple of them that stand out pretty dope.
Yeah,
but it just gets me that much more excited for that Snoop album that's coming out that Dre's producing. Like, it gets me just a little bit more like, dang, I want to hear this. I heard Method Man has a verse.
He's gonna be on there. Yeah,
man, Meth, Snoop, and Dre.
I love it. I love that our generation is going back into the studio and making music and not for them to try to relive their glory days, not for them to try to be, at least by my outlook on it, not for them to try and be the number one artist of 2024 or the new decade or whatever like that, but just in a sense of, I don't really like hearing the music that's out right now. So 50-year-olds making music for 50-year-olds. I know we're not quite 50 yet, but you know what I mean?
I feel it's part of that, but I also feel it's part of the fact that, you know, it's kind of like, I still got it. You know what I'm saying? It's so sort of an analogy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're married, you're in a relationship, you're committed, right? But like, if a girl walks by and was like, you know, and she gives you like that look, or she compliments you, right?
Terrible analogy, but go ahead.
But
but I know what
you know
mean.
what I'm saying. Like, she walks by and she's like,
I still got
she's
it.
like, oh, I like your hair. Or I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, in your head, it's sort of an ego boost, but it's just like that inner alpha. Like, you're not about to act on it. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. It's, you know, people compliment people. You know, it is what it is because you got yours. But at the same time, it's a little bit of that ego, and I feel like it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like, hey, just so y'all know, I still got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still got it. I can
still do this. Yeah.
I did this and I do this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the part that I appreciate because, I mean, and it's not that L was the first, but that LL album, I mean, he came with it. There's some tracks in there. I'm digging that album. That album is dope. You know, MC Light's album, she got some bangers. Like, I'm particularly fond of the track with Q-Tip that she has on there. That one's pretty fire.
Yeah.
But, and I want to say there's one with Stevie Wonder, if I'm not
really?
mistaken.
I haven't heard that one.
It's pretty dope. But yeah, that MC8's album's cool. You know, L's album's cool. Now I'm
MC8,
huh?
MC8.
Did I say MC8?
MC. MC8 dropped an album?
Did I say MC8?
Yeah. You mean MC Light?
MC Light. Why is it MC8? Woo. That's
I'm
a step
like,
up.
what? Straight thugging it up?
MC Light. No, MC Light. My bad. No, but yeah.
I would love
MC8 should drop an album.
I would love to see something from MC8.
Why not?
I would love to see something from J.O. Felony.
What you gonna do?
I used to love me some J.O. And boxers and Chuck Taylors.
Hotter than fish grease.
Yeah, his cadence and everything.
Yeah.
It was so unique at the time.
Hotter than fish grease.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
That was wild.
but that Eastsidaz album is dope. And now I'm just like, I'm waiting for that Snoop.
Snoop and Dre.
But yeah, MC Light's album, L's album so far, like just this year, as far as like some people kind of reemerging, I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it.
It's nice to hear.
Maybe we'll find some more hidden Kobe Bryant tracks.
Unreleased new shit. Where the DJs at? Where the Clues at? Where the Desert Storms at?
You remember, when DJ Who Kid?
Who Kid? Yeah.
Like we need to come back out and start.
Funk Master Flex needs to drop a mixtape.
Yeah, all of them, man.
That'd be crazy.
I had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of those, man. Like the Funks, the Clues, the Who Kids.
Yeah. Those are. It was a different time. So that's.
And I know I'm missing some because there's a lot of them that was doing it.
That's 2000s, right? Like 2000s to 2010.
Probably
Was
yeah.
that era?
Yeah.
That was a great time in music. The 90s were great. I like breaking them up.
And when they got those exclusives too, like they get those exclusives, you were like, oh.
Where did you find that at, son?
So,
the Trapaholics. The LimeWire mixtapes. The Napster mixtapes. Man, those things, you get trolled so much. It'd be like, new Tupac featuring such and such, and then you play it, and it's like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
Man, those are the good old days. Now you just log on to Spotify or Apple Music and
fingertips.
Everything is just
But the
right
crazy
there.
part is there's still a lot of songs that haven't made it to streaming that are, that just haven't made it to streaming for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know if there's the legality behind it or whoever owns it just never put it out or whatever, but there's some stuff.
Maybe.
But most of it is fingertips, yeah.
A lot of it is.
And what you can't find on the normal platforms, it's on YouTube.
True.
Like
somebody put it up.
Go look for 50 and Kobe. You're not going to find it on streaming services, but it's on YouTube, I'm sure.
Yeah, I might have to look for that.
So.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like having my physical media, just in case it gets pulled. Like I still
bang it.
I still got my own archive.
That's how, when I need certain fixes and depending on my mood, that's how I reach it.
That's how you reach that?
Physical media. And with that, can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
Can You Reach That? Brought to you by Double One Entertainment in Coopersville. Hosted by Tango and Coop. And created and edited by Tim Greenlee and Brandon Adolphus. Music, sound design, and editing by Michael B. That's me. Visual art and graphic design by Jonathan Greenlee. Additional visual design by Timothy Greenlee.